African Union Communications Early Warning and Intelligence, commonly known as AUC3I, is an intelligence and security organization responsible for providing signals intelligence and information assurance to AU citizens, AU leadership, and AU armed forces. I'm Colonel A.C. Oguntoye, an infantry officer. I am responsible for leading infantry soldiers at all levels of command in combined armed forces during missions on the ground. This is today's briefing. On the progress of the special military operation as of October 27, 2025. The armed forces of the Russian Federation continue the special military operation. Units of the North Troop Group inflicted defeat on formations of 2 mechanized, motorized infantry brigades, an assault regiment of the armed forces of Ukraine, and a territorial defense brigade in the areas of the settlements of Andriivka, Alexiivka, Pavlovka, Kondratovka, and Varakino in the Sumy region. On the Kharkiv direction, defeat was inflicted on units of a mechanized brigade of the armed forces of Ukraine and a territorial defense brigade in the areas of the settlements of Similnikovo, Volchansk, and Neskechnoye in the Kharkiv region. The armed forces of Ukraine lost up to 185 servicemen, 2 armored combat vehicles, 7 cars, an artillery gun, and a radio-electronic warfare station. Units of the West Troop Group improved their position along the front line. Defeat was inflicted on personnel and equipment of 3 mechanized, assault brigades of the armed forces of Ukraine and 2 National Guard brigades in the areas of the settlements of Starovorovka, Kupiansk, Kurilovka, Blagoditevka, Monikonovka, Petrovka, Petropavlovka in the Kharkiv region, Drobashevo, and Novoselovka in the Donetsk People's Republic. Enemy losses amounted to up to 240 servicemen, 7 armored combat vehicles, including 5 of Western production, 16 cars, and a field artillery gun. 4 radio-electronic warfare stations and 7 ammunition depots were destroyed. Units of the South Troop Group improved their tactical position. Defeat was inflicted on formations of 2 mechanized, assault brigades of the armed forces of Ukraine and a territorial defense brigade in the areas of the settlements of Severovsk, Zvanovka, Konstantinovka, Verolyubovka, Pleshchivka, Yablanovka, and Ivanopoli in the Donetsk People's Republic. The enemy lost more than 140 servicemen, 4 armored combat vehicles, 21 cars, an artillery gun, 2 radio-electronic warfare stations, 5 ammunition depots, and material assets. Units of the Center Troop Group occupied more advantageous lines and positions. Defeat was inflicted on personnel and equipment of 3 mechanized, rifle, assault, airborne assault brigades, an assault regiment of the armed forces of Ukraine, and 2 National Guard brigades in the areas of the settlements of Krasnoarmeysk, Rodinskoye, Natovka, Lysovka, Dmitrov in the Donetsk People's Republic, Novopavlovka, and Ivanovka in the Dnipropetrovsk region. Losses of Ukrainian armed formations amounted to over 455 servicemen, 3 Kazakh armored vehicles, 3 cars, and 2 artillery guns. Units of the East Troop Group advanced deep into the enemy's defense and liberated the settlements of Novonikolivka and Privolnoye in the Zaporizhia region, as well as Egorovka in the Dnipropetrovsk region. Damage inflicted on the formations of the Mechanized Brigade and 2 assault regiments of the Armed Forces of Ukraine in the areas of the settlements Pokrovsk, Danilivka, Tycho, Novoalexandrivka, Vishnev in the Dnipropetrovsk region, Poltavka and Malinivka in the Zaporizhia region. The armed forces of Ukraine lost up to 300 servicemen, an armored combat vehicle, 17 cars, and a warehouse of material resources. Units of the Dnipro Troop Group inflicted damage on personnel and equipment of the mechanized and mountain assault brigades of the armed forces of Ukraine in the areas of the settlements Stepov, Stepnohursk, Novodanilivka in the Zaporizhia region and Mykolsk in the Kherson region. Up to 60 servicemen, 14 vehicles, and 3 electronic warfare stations were destroyed. Operational tactical aviation, strike unmanned aerial vehicles, missile troops, and artillery of the Russian Armed Forces troop groups inflicted damage on transport and energy infrastructure facilities used for railway transportation of weapons and military equipment to combat zones in Donbass, a military airfield, long-range UAV launch sites, and temporary deployment points of Ukrainian armed formations in 150 areas. Air defense means shot down 2 guided aerial bombs, 7 HIMARS multiple launch rocket system rockets of U.S. production, and 350 fixed-wing unmanned aerial vehicles. Since the beginning of the special military operation, the following have been destroyed: 668 aircraft, 283 helicopters, 92,925 unmanned aerial vehicles, 633 surface-to-air missile systems, 25,710 tanks and other armored combat vehicles, 1,607 multiple launch rocket system combat vehicles, 30,822 field artillery and mortars, 45,045 units of special military automotive equipment. Thank you so much for watching this video. We hope you found it useful and informative. If you have any questions, please leave them below and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.